What if everything you've been told about success is wrong? What if the secret isn't hustle, talent, or luck, but something far simpler? Something you've been ignoring every single day? Success isn't about grand gestures. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment or some magical breakthrough. Real success, the kind that lasts, is built in the quiet, ordinary moments of your day. The way you think when no one's watching. The choices you make when it's easier to quit. That's where true power lies. And today we're breaking down the exact blueprint to master it. 1. Your thoughts shape your reality. Most people don't realize they're living in a world built entirely by their own thoughts. It sounds simple, maybe even obvious, but the truth is most of us are running on autopilot, letting our minds drift wherever they want, usually toward fear, doubt, and excuses. Imagine your mind is like a radio. For most people, it's stuck on a station that only plays bad news, worst-case scenarios, and reasons why they can't succeed. And the crazy part, they don't even realize they're the ones holding the dial. They think life is happening to them when in reality, life is happening because of them. Here's the hard truth. Every thought you entertain is a seed. Plant fear and you'll grow obstacles. Plant doubt and you'll harvest hesitation. But plant determination, and you'll build unshakable confidence. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't luck, talent, or even hard work. It's what they allow themselves to think about. The moment you start paying attention to your thoughts, you'll notice something terrifying. Most of them are working against you. I'm not good enough. What if I fail? This will never work. These aren't just passing ideas, they're blueprints. Your mind is a construction crew, and whatever you feed it is what it will build. So how do you take control? First, you have to catch yourself in the act. The next time you hear that voice saying, "I can't stop," ask yourself, is this really true, or is this just fear talking? Then flip it. Instead of "I can't," ask, "How can I?" That tiny shift changes everything, because now you're not stuck, you're problem solving. You're not defeated, you're strategizing. And when you do this consistently, something incredible happens. Your outer world starts to match your inner world. Opportunities appear. People respond differently to you. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. This isn't magic, it's cause and effect. Your thoughts dictate your actions. Your actions dictate your results. And your results dictate your life. So if you want a different life, you need different thoughts. Not positive affirmations you don't believe, but real, deliberate, disciplined thinking. The kind that doesn't just hope for success, it expects it. 2. The 24-hour rule for setbacks. Failure is inevitable. You will mess up. You will get rejected. You will face moments where everything goes wrong. And that's fine, because failure isn't the problem. The real problem is what happens next. Most people take a small setback and turn it into a permanent story. They replay it in their heads for weeks, months, even years. They let it define them. And in doing so, they give that single failure more power than it ever deserved. Here's a better way. The 24-hour rule. When something goes wrong, you get one day. One day to feel it. Really feel it. Be angry. Be disappointed. Wallow if you have to. But when that day is over, it's over. No more dwelling. No more what ifs. No more victim mentality. You take the lesson and you move forward. Because time spent stuck in the past is time stolen from your future. Think about it. How many people do you know who are still talking about that one job they didn't get 5 years ago? Or that relationship that ended badly? Or that business idea that flopped? They're not just remembering it, they're reliving it. And in doing so, they're letting that old failure rob them of new opportunities. The past can't be changed, but the future is still yours. The only question is, how much of it are you willing to wait? The 24-hour rule forces you to confront failure without being consumed by it. It's not about pretending it doesn't hurt. It's about refusing to let that pain dictate your next move. After your day is up, you do 3 things. Analyze, learn, and pivot. What went wrong? What could you have done differently? And most importantly, what's the next step? Not the step back to where you were, but the step forward to where you're going. Because here's the secret. Success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about recovering faster. The people who win aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who get up quicker. They don't let a single defeat become their identity. They take the hit, learn from it, and come back stronger. And you can do the same. The next time life knocks you down, give yourself, then get back up. Your future self will thank you. 3. The invisible power of daily habits. You wake up with grand plans, big dreams, a vision of who you could be, but by noon you're already cutting corners. By evening you're making excuses, and by bedtime you're promising tomorrow will be different. Except tomorrow never is. Here's why. Goals don't determine your success. Systems do. The tiny, seemingly insignificant choices you make every single day, those are what shape your destiny. Most people focus on the finish line while ignoring the path that actually gets them there. They want the result without building the routine that creates it. Think about confidence. You can't just decide to be confident, but you can decide to stand tall for 2 minutes every morning. Shoulders back, chest out like you own the room. Do that every day, and something strange happens. Your body starts telling your mind how to feel. Or take focus. You can't magically will yourself into deep work, but you can decide that the first hour of your day belongs to you. No phone, no emails, no distractions. Just you and the work that matters. Do that long enough and suddenly focus isn't something you struggle with. It's who you are. This is the hidden truth about greatness. It's not about heroic efforts. It's about boring consistency. The person who does 5 push-ups every morning ends up stronger than the one who plans a 2-hour gym session when they have time. The writer who scribbles 200 words a day finishes more books than the aspiring author waiting for inspiration. Small actions repeated daily compound into something unstoppable. The problem, most people quit before the magic happens. They don't see immediate results, so they assume it's not working. But real change operates in silence. The first week, nothing looks different. The first month, maybe a slight shift. But 6 months in, a year, that's when people start asking what your secret is, not realizing your secret was simply showing up day after day long after others gave up. Discipline isn't a personality trait, it's a series of choices. And every time you choose the right action, no matter how small, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Skip that vote often enough and you'll wake up one day wondering why you're still the same person with the same struggle. But stack those votes, those tiny daily decisions, and one day you'll wake up unrecognizable to your old self. Not because you transformed overnight, but because you finally understood the path to extraordinary isn't through giant leaps. It's through small steps taken relentlessly in the same direction. 4. The mirror test for integrity. There's a moment every night when the noise fades, the performances end, the excuses run out. It's just you alone facing the mirror. And in that moment, there are no audiences to impress, no followers to convince, just the raw, unfiltered truth. Most people dread this moment without even realizing it. They fill their nights with distractions, scrolling, binging, numbing, anything to avoid that quiet confrontation, because deep down they know. They know when they've cut corners. They know when they've blamed others for their own shortcomings. They know when the person they pretend to be online doesn't match the person they actually are. Here's the brutal reality. Success built on lies collapses. Every time. You can fake it for a while, maybe even fool everyone around you, but you can't fool the mirror. That's why the most dangerous person in your life isn't the critic or the competitor. It's the version of yourself who accepts mediocrity when no one's watching. The one who says it's fine when you know damn well it's not. The one who makes excuses you'd never tolerate from someone else. The mirror test is simple but unforgiving. At the end of each day, you ask, did my actions today match the person I claim to be? Not the person you post about being. Not the persona you use to impress strangers. The real you. The one who knows the difference between being busy and being productive. Between networking and genuine connection. Between making money and making meaning. If you're honest, the answer will sometimes hurt. Good. That pain is your compass. Most people spend their lives running from this accountability. They surround themselves with yes men, chase superficial metrics, and confuse motion with progress. But the few who dare to face the mirror every night, who refuse to lie to themselves, develop something rare: integrity. Not the kind you put on a resume, but the kind that lets you sleep peacefully. The kind that means when you give your word, it actually means something. The kind that attracts real respect, not just likes. This isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. There will be days you fail the mirror test, hard. The power isn't in never failing. It's in never pretending you didn't. Because each honest admission is a chance to course correct. Each refusal to sugarcoat your own shortcomings is a step toward becoming someone you genuinely respect. And in the end, that's the only success that matters. Not the applause of the crowd, but the ability to look yourself in the eye and know without a doubt that you're becoming the person you were meant to be. 5. Turning obstacles into fuel. The world is divided into two kinds of people: those who see obstacles and stop, and those who see obstacles and start. The first group hits resistance and takes it as a sign. Maybe this isn't meant to be, maybe they're not good enough, maybe the universe is telling them no. The second group hits the same resistance and leans in. They don't just tolerate obstacles, they use them because they understand something fundamental. Friction isn't the enemy of progress, it's the price. Think about rejection. Most people let it crush them. One no, and they're done. But what if you flipped it? What if every rejection wasn't proof that you shouldn't keep going, but proof that you're playing at a higher level? The only people who never get rejected are the ones who never try anything worthwhile. Criticism works the same way. Most people hear feedback and take it personally. The rare few hear it and think, good, now I know exactly what to fix. They don't get defensive, they get better. Because criticism, when you strip away the sting, is just free advice. Someone took time out of their day to tell you how to improve. That's a gift, not an attack. This mindset shift changes everything. Suddenly, obstacles aren't roadblocks, they're benchmarks. Every challenge is a test of how badly you want it. Every setback is a chance to prove your commitment. And when you start seeing life this way, something strange happens. You stop dreading resistance and start expecting it. You stop being surprised when things get hard and start being surprised when they don't. Because you realize the obstacle isn't standing in your way, it is the way. The people who go furthest aren't the ones with the easiest path. They're the ones who learned to walk on broken glass and called it training. They're the ones who got knocked down 7 times and stood up 8. Not because they're special, but because they understood that resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. And the only way to build it is to face resistance head on, over and over, until what once would have broken you now barely makes you flinch. So the next time you hit a wall, don't look for a way around it, lean into it. Ask, what is this here to teach me? How can this make me stronger? Because the difference between an obstacle that stops you and an obstacle that fuels you isn't the obstacle itself, it's what you decide to do with it. 6. The 5-second rule for decisions. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, not successful. The moment an opportunity or a challenge appears, your instincts kick in. Hesitation creeps in. Doubt follows. And before you know it, the moment is gone. This is how dreams die. Not in dramatic failures, but in quiet, invisible moments of indecision. The job you didn't apply for because you weren't 100% ready. The conversation you didn't have because the timing wasn't perfect. The risk you didn't take because you needed just a little more time. Here's the truth: you will never feel ready. There will never be a perfect time. And if you wait until all your doubts disappear, you'll be waiting forever. That's why the only way to beat hesitation is to outrun it. The moment you feel the pull to act, whether it's sending that email, making that call, or stepping onto that stage, you have exactly 5 seconds before your brain sabotages you. 5 seconds before the excuses start. 5 seconds before fear takes over. The solution is simple but brutal. Move before your mind can talk you out of it. Count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And go. Not tomorrow. Not after you've overanalyzed it to death. Now, because action isn't just the result of courage, it's the source of it. The more you hesitate, the weaker you become. But the more you act despite the fear, the stronger you get. This isn't about reckless impulsivity. It's about recognizing that your brain's #1 job is to protect you from discomfort, even when that discomfort is necessary for growth. Left to its own devices, your mind will always choose short-term comfort over long-term gain. The 5-second rule is how you override that instinct. It's how you remind yourself that the voice saying wait isn't wisdom, it's resistance. The people who accomplish extraordinary things aren't fearless. They just refuse to let fear dictate their timing. They understand that motivation doesn't come before action, it follows it. You don't wait until you feel confident to start. You start and then the confidence comes. Every time you act in the face of doubt, you're training your brain to trust you. And over time, something incredible happens. The gap between impulse and action shrinks. What once took 5 seconds of mental warfare now takes 3, then 2, then 1, until eventually You don't hesitate. You just do. So the next time you're staring at an opportunity, don't think. Don't weigh the pros and cons for the 100th time. Don't wait for some imaginary sign that it's your moment. Just count 5, 4. The world belongs to the decisive, and decisiveness isn't a trait, it's a habit. One you build 5 seconds at a time. 7. The hidden danger of someday. There's a word that sounds harmless but kills more dreams than failure ever could. It's not no, it's not can't, it's someday. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll tell them how I really feel. Here's the brutal truth. Someday doesn't exist. It's a fictional place we invent to avoid the discomfort of today. But while we're waiting for this magical someday when the stars align and everything feels perfect, life is passing us by. The perfect time is a myth. There will always be reasons to wait, more money to save, more skills to learn, more stability to achieve. But waiting doesn't make you ready. It makes you rusty. The most successful people don't wait for perfect conditions. They create them through action. That business you want to start, the first version will be messy. That fitness journey you keep postponing, the first month will hurt. But messy action beats perfect inaction every single time. Because momentum doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. And once you start, something incredible happens. The path reveals itself. Opportunities appear that you couldn't have predicted. Doors open that you didn't even know were there. Regret doesn't come from what we do. It comes from what we don't do. Years from now, you won't look back and wish you'd waited longer. You'll wish you'd started sooner. Every day you delay is a day you'll never get back. The clock is ticking, and someday is just another way of saying never. So ask yourself, what's one thing you've been putting off that you could start right now today, in some small way? Not the perfect version, not the final version, just version 1, because the only way to reach someday is to realize it was always today. The company you keep is your future. Look around you. The people you spend the most time with, they're not just your friends, your colleagues, your influences. They're your future. We like to think we're independent, that we make our own choices, but the truth is far more uncomfortable. We become like the people we surround ourselves with. Their habits rub off. Their attitudes seep in. Their standards become ours. You can't spend 5 nights a week with people who complain about everything and expect to wake up grateful. You can't share your dreams with naysayers and stay motivated. This isn't about cutting people off or judging where they are in life. It's about recognizing that energy is contagious and you're constantly being infected by the mindsets of those closest to you. If everyone around you is stuck, guess what? That's your ceiling. If everyone around you is growing, that's your new normal. The people who push you, who challenge your excuses, who make you feel slightly uncomfortable with how much they believe in you, those are the people who pull you toward your potential. The hard part, growth requires uncomfortable choices. It might mean spending less time with people you love but who don't challenge you. It might mean seeking out mentors who intimidate you. It might mean being the most driven person in the room until you find a room where you're not. But here's what's even harder, staying the same. Waking up 5 years from now realizing you're in the exact same place with the exact same complaints because you never changed your environment. Your circle should want more for you than you want for yourself. They should call you out when you're playing small. They should make you feel like you're behind when you're actually ahead, because their standards are that high. That's not pressure. That's privilege. Because when you're surrounded by people who won't let you settle, you won't have to worry about motivation. It will be in the air you breathe. So take inventory. If you wouldn't want to switch places with the people you spend the most time with, it's time to expand your circle. Your future self is already there, waiting for you to catch up. But here's the truth you've probably already discovered: that moment never comes. Motivation isn't something you wait for, it's something you create through action. The real obstacle isn't the task itself, it's the mountain we build in our minds before we even start. We imagine how long it will take, how difficult it will be, how much we'd rather be doing anything else, and so we stall. We delay. We find 100 other things to do first, until suddenly it's the end of the day and that one important task is still hanging over us, draining our mental energy just by existing in our unfinished pile. This is where the 10-minute rule changes everything. The principle is simple. Commit to working on the dreaded task for just 10 minutes. That's it. Not until it's finished. Not until you're exhausted. Just 10 focused minutes. What you'll discover is that the hardest part isn't the work, it's starting the work. Once you begin, something shifts. The resistance fades, the mental block dissolves. You realize the task wasn't as monstrous as your procrastination made it seem. And more often than not, when those 10 minutes are up, you'll find yourself continuing not because you have to, but because you've built momentum. But here's the real power of this rule. Even if you stop after 10 minutes, you win, because now you're 10 minutes further than you were before. That report isn't untouched anymore. You've written the first paragraph. That project isn't looming over you. You've made a start, and that start creates a psychological shift. The next time you approach the task, it won't feel as daunting because you've already broken the seal. You've proven to yourself that you can begin, and that proof makes it easier to begin again. This approach works because it bypasses our brain's natural resistance to discomfort. When we tell ourselves we only have to do something for 10 minutes, our defensive mechanisms stand down. It doesn't feel like a threat anymore. And in that space, we often discover that what we were avoiding wasn't the work itself, but our anticipation of the work. The actual doing is almost always easier than the dreading. Think about how this applies to everything we procrastinate on: exercise, difficult conversations, creative projects. We build them up in our minds until they feel impossible, when in reality the only impossible part was getting started. The 10-minute rule removes that barrier. It's not about perfection or completion. It's about initiation. It's about proving to yourself that you can face what you've been avoiding, even if just for a short time. And here's the beautiful paradox. By giving yourself permission to stop after 10 minutes, you'll often find yourself working longer, not out of obligation, but because you've rediscovered that the task wasn't the enemy, your avoidance of it was. The energy you wasted dreading the work was always greater than the energy the work itself required. So the next time you find yourself staring at a task you've been putting off, don't try to tackle it all at once. Don't wait for motivation that may never come. Just set a timer for 10 minutes and begin. Not to finish, not to be perfect, just to prove to yourself that you can start. Because once you do, you'll realize the only thing standing between you and your goals was the story you told yourself about how hard they would be. And with each small start, that story loses its power, until one day you wake up and realize you've become someone who doesn't procrastinate but simply begins. 10. The legacy mindset. Every morning you wake up with a priceless currency in your account, time. Unlike money, you can't earn more of it. Unlike possessions, you can't replace it when it's gone. And yet, how many days slip through your fingers while you're distracted by things that won't matter in a week, let alone a lifetime? We fill our hours with busy work, with scrolling, with chasing things we think we're supposed to want, all while quietly ignoring the quiet voice asking, is this really how you want to spend your life? Here's a question that cuts through the noise. If today were your last, would you be proud of how you spent it? Not as a morbid thought experiment, but as a focusing lens. When you ask this honestly, something remarkable happens. The trivial falls away. That argument you were rehearsing in your head suddenly seems pointless. That project you've been procrastinating on feels urgent in a new way. The people you love become vividly present, while the opinions of strangers fade into irrelevant. This is the legacy mindset. Living each day as if you're signing your name to it, knowing that how you spend your days is how you spend your life. Most people operate on autopilot, mistaking motion for meaning. They chase promotions without asking if they want the job at the top. They accumulate followers without considering if they're saying anything worth following. They fill their calendars without asking if they're filling their souls. The legacy mindset flips this script. It asks, what will echo after you're gone? Not in grandiose terms, but in the quiet impact of your daily choices. The patience you showed your child when you were tired. The integrity you maintained when no one was watching. The art you created even when it scared you. This isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. There will be days when you miss the mark. Days consumed by petty frustrations or wasted opportunities. The power comes in the evening reckoning, when you review the day not with guilt but with clarity. Did I move toward what matters or away from it? Did I build bridges or burn them? Did I create more light in the world than I took? These questions become your compass, steering you back when you drift. The legacy mindset exposes our most comforting lies, that there's always tomorrow to make amends, to start that project, to tell someone you love them. But what if there is? Not as fear, but as fuel. The awareness of life's fragility isn't meant to paralyze you. It's meant to propel you, to help you distinguish between what's urgent and what's important, to remind you that every no to distraction is a yes to your deepest values. Consider your ordinary Tuesday, the way you speak to the barista, the attention you give your partner when they're talking, the effort you put into work that might outlast you. These unremarkable moments are the bricks with which you're building your life's monument. The legacy mindset simply asks you to lay each brick with intention, knowing that someday someone will look at the whole structure and understand who you really were. This approach transforms how you experience time itself. Instead of feeling like sand slipping through your hands, time becomes clay you're actively shaping. You stop saying one day and start asking what if today. You measure success not by accumulation but by contribution. Not what you got, but what you gave. The paradox is that living this way doesn't drain you, it energizes you. There's a peculiar vitality that comes from knowing you're aligning your days with your deepest truth. The legacy mindset isn't about crafting your epitaph. It's about crafting your now. It's realizing that legacy isn't some distant future event, but the sum total of your present moments. That email you send with unnecessary harshness, that's your legacy. That afternoon you spent fully present with your aging parent, that's your legacy too. The words you choose when you're tired, the kindness you show when it's inconvenient, the standards you refuse to compromise, these are the threads weaving the tapestry of your life's meaning. So as you move through your days, carry this question like a lantern in the dark. Is this how I want to spend my precious, irreplaceable time? Let it guide you past shallow distractions toward deeper fulfillment. Let it remind you that while you can't control how long your life will be, you can absolutely influence how meaningful it becomes. In the end, your legacy won't be measured by what you intended to do, but by what you actually did. One ordinary, extraordinary day at a time. Success isn't a secret. It's a series of daily choices. Tiny battles won in your mind and habits. Control your thoughts, own your actions, and refuse to let fear or laziness dictate your life. The blueprint is here. The rest, up to you.